Mega Man X DiVE Offline is Capcom's newest release onto the PC via Steam and Android and iOS mobile devices. Although admittedly this being the newest entry in the Mega Man franchise, it is also considered a spin-off. I would like to divide this review into two separate sections. First, I'll be talking about what differentiates this offline release from the original launch a few years back, and I would also like to delve a little bit deeper into the gameplay components and what makes this such an interesting release. But first and foremost, I would like to thank Capcom for providing me not just the review code for the PC via Steam, but also the footage you're seeing here today. To longtime Mega Man fans, this release shouldn't come to much of a surprise. Mega Man X DiVE, or Rockman X DiVE as it was known overseas, has been around for about 3 years or so by now, and the online-focused mobile release. After the game's substantial run, the developers over at Capcom Taiwan, who worked on the original designs and ideas for this release, decided to basically re-release the game completely as a standalone entry in its very own package for those who were hesitant to check out the free-to-play mobile game with gacha trappings, and let's just say they did a pretty much bang-up job. In the original release, you had to be connected to the internet at all times to be able to play. Unlike this release, where all of the content is directly stored into your device or your PC. With that comes the first change. There is no PvP, co-op, guild, rankings, or even capsules included in this entry. Of course, PvP is your player versus player, co-op is 2 players teaming up versus the computer, guild and rankings were together as you could play with players online throughout the entire globe and kind of like race your rank together, and capsules were of course the original way in which you would earn skins and characters, but they have now completely been reworked. You now earn them after you finish any one of the game's staggering 900 or so stages, and there's over 100 or so different characters to unlock. However, collaborations like Street Fighter, Devil May Cry, or my favorite ones with Monster Hunter sadly have not made the cut and they have been removed for whatever reason. On the upside though, every single one of the holiday events and characters are included, where essentially these were like limited time. I believe they were like 2 weeks or so in the original release, and they are now here available permanently. The developers opted to provide a staggering amount of content tied to a simple one-time purchase for PC and mobile devices. But interestingly enough, this title is not currently, as of the time of this review, available on consoles like PlayStation, Xbox, or the Nintendo Switch, which is a little bit odd since the Steam release specifically includes full control support and it pretty much plays extremely well. Visuals shouldn't be that much of a hindrance to any one of those consoles, so perhaps this is something that they will try to do at a future time. Fingers crossed. This being a side-scroller, you're often moving from left to right in typical Mega Man fashion, and in that regard, with the crazy amount of content, it does vary the gameplay just a little bit. Except your typical controls and options like dashes, air dashes, double jumps, wall climbing, and the use of any assorted weapons depending on the character that you're currently using. They all play slightly differently, and you end up focusing more on the numbers of damage that you're trying to cause to the enemies as they go up. These are dictated by your power level, and even players of the original release should know how this essentially plays out. Grind, and even more grind. To some of those characters, to pretty much get them to power level, you're going to be spending a lot of time because you essentially need to dish out enough damage to enemies to move on and clear a stage. The beauty here is that not only are you constantly being rewarded for just about everything that you do, Seni-wise, which dictates just how much money you're going to be spending on armor enhancements, brand new chips, brand new weapons, any one of the equipable player cards, skills, armor sets, you're continually being boosted, and the more you're willing to spend Seni-wise on each one of them, you're gonna end up getting more powerful. The game does a fantastic job continually rewarding you and not starving you from currency, so the grind doesn't feel that bad. Instead, it just feels rewarding in its own right if you're willing to spend the time. This is all made better by the amount of game modes that you have at your disposal, which there's plenty of, even with the aforementioned online ones being outright removed. The story mode takes you to many locales and introduces a hefty amount of characters to unlock, but then you have quests to undertake and even an events mode that lets you explore stages not only available in the story mode, but from famous entries like the original Mega Man or Mega Man Battle Network or even Mega Man Legends. Essentially, it just tries to recreate some of the original stages and it does a great job. Then you have a challenge mode in Jacob's Orbital Elevator, which is honestly a real treat. This is a super challenging set of stages with their very own rewards that are continually being introduced, so the more mechanics that you are basically able to see with one of the characters, they change the gameplay even more so and introduces new gameplay ideas that you simply didn't have in the original story mode. This was a lot of the added on, tacked on content that you ended up seeing in the original mobile release, now being kind of like repackaged in the very own thing. Another brand new addition is the music player. This lets you play many of the original story tracks, but also a bunch of brand new ones that were only interestingly available in the Japanese release of the mobile game and some of the Japanese versions of games that simply have not been released in the West. So expect a bunch of tracks here that you simply have never heard before in the Mega Man franchise. They are now available in this release. The last thing I would like to touch upon is the elemental medals. This and Seni were at the core of the gacha mechanics in the original release, and worry not, you'll be getting plenty of these as well. Just like all of the unlocks, they are now tied to getting better ratings. Whenever you finish one of the stages, you'll get a hefty ton of brand new medals to craft all of your gear and raise your level rating. So those power requirements become a little bit easier to reach as you simply progress and do everything the game has to offer. So essentially what you want to do is stick to the story mode a little bit, then go do some of the challenges, go do some of the events, do some of the quests. As long as you're doing pretty much all of the content the game provides at you at your whim, you should be able to level up power-wise any one of your characters and not feel like you have to grind over and over and over again the same stage, which was one of the original release's biggest probably problems, if you want to put it that way. Mega Man X DiVE Offline is an interesting fresh take on the Mega Man franchise and one that the fans of the original mobile release might want to consider, since most of the content other than the collaborations make a hefty return and now are not tied to cooldowns, gacha, and are willing to give you just about as much as you're willing to invest. If you're willing to put in the time to discover all of the things this game has to offer, you'll be playing it for a long amount of time. Nintendo Sphere gives Mega Man X DiVE Offline a 7.5 out of 10 on PC, Steam, but of course, the game is available on mobile devices on iOS and Android stores, with hopefully the introduction of a console release, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch at a future date. If you're brand new to my channel though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!